So law enforcement instructor Sonny Slaughter and trial attorney Alexis Rosenberg are both here with me to break this down. What we heard there was the prosecution, the state, basically saying, look, you've given us an alibi that you're driving around, but that's it. You haven't given us any details. And in order for you to call witnesses and to talk about these details, you have to name these individuals. You have to tell us the specifics of where you were going. Now, Sonny, let me ask you, what do you think the judge is going to ultimately decide as far as this alibi is concerned? He did say he's going to give the defense more time to submit information, but ultimately, do you think he's going to let this in?
I don't think the judge is going to let this in unless they have very detailed names and information that law enforcement and the prosecution can corroborate. I think this becomes a fishing expedition and not credible evidence that they are trying to introduce. It is important that we focus on credible information and evidence from both parties. This case is so high profile, we cannot have missteps, and I think the judge is not going to allow it to come in.
You know, Alexis, here's the thing. I think that there's this alibi, but why do you think that the defense is holding on to giving additional information? If they have that additional information now, why not just provide it to everybody and not be precluded, or perhaps be precluded down the line? They could give it now.
So we have a couple different things going on here. Some jurisdictions require a notice of alibi, and this jurisdiction is one of those jurisdictions. And in that alibi, it's supposed to have the details as we just heard. I do think that the judge is going to let it in because they really don't want to have a situation where this goes up on appeal, they get a conviction, and then it's sent back down because they didn't allow the alibi. The defense, I think the problem we have, and what the defense's position is, that he was driving around. I think they've already let out that there weren't necessarily any witnesses to the fact that he was driving around, other than the fact maybe that this was his normal pattern to drive around aimlessly, basically, at night. And so there aren't. Now, why he can't give a general description of where he went, I don't know. It may be a communication thing where the defendant isn't sharing it with his attorneys.
I think you're right. It could very well be something that they just don't want to share at this point in time, but it's a very important issue, and you're right, out in Idaho, they do have to have that notice of alibi, and they should be providing additional details. So let's take a quick break right now, and when we come back, we'll have more for you on Law and Crime.